America's former top cop is now facing prosecution. James Comey has been indicted on 2 federal charges. This is a major development in President Trump's efforts to target political opponents. The former FBI director maintains he's innocent.
My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us now with the very latest on this. Katrina, good morning. You know, many folks will just be waking up to this news. So what exactly is Comey accused of doing?
Good morning, Errol. So there are 2 charges here. James Comey is charged with making a false statement. This was allegedly during a hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. And what they're saying is that he said he had not authorized someone to be an anonymous source regarding an FBI investigation. They say that that statement was false, Errol. They're also accusing him of obstruction of justice. Significantly, though, Errol, there is another false statement charge that this grand jury would not approve. This is very rare for a grand jury to deny a charge, Errol.
And we're going to get into the specifics and the kind of political climate this is happening in a moment. But what kind of sentence will Comey face if he is convicted?
Errol, he could face up to 5 years if he's convicted of these charges. I think, frankly, it would be a lot less. And also, there are a lot of questions here about the charges themselves. To get charges approved by a grand jury, there's a much lower threshold. It's probable cause. However, a prosecutor is not supposed to bring those charges unless they believe at trial that they could prove those charges beyond a reasonable doubt. And there are a lot of questions about that here, Errol.
All right, we're going to dig into all of that right now. Katrina, thank you. CBS News legal contributor Rebecca Roiphe is here with me in studio to digest all of this. Good morning. So these charges, as we talk about the bigger political climate, come as President Trump explicitly says publicly that the DOJ has, quote, has to act fast, end quote, in investigating his political opponents. How much does that come into play here?
Yeah, Errol, I mean, it's really hard to overemphasize at this point the gravity of this situation. American prosecutors, federal prosecutors, the DOJ is supposed to be an independent, apolitical body that's essential to preserve democratic values precisely for the reasons we see playing out right here. It's not just Comey, it's any person who dares to stand up to the president has to now fear that he can use this extremely powerful arm to come after them. And that is completely inconsistent with the rule of law and with democracy itself.
And President Trump has also targeted Letitia James, Adam Schiff, people who have investigated him specifically. What's also interesting is that acting U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan was the only prosecutor to sign the charging documents. How unusual is that, and how much does that tell us?
It is extremely unusual. And I mean, I think that the line prosecutors decided that there's evidence that the line prosecutors came forward and decided that this was too weak a case to bring. And it looks like then refused to go into the grand jury in protest, and that she had to, again, these are, inferences that I'm making, that she had to go in there by herself. And I think it is also important to note that she herself has no background as a prosecutor. And so she doesn't, the norms and traditions of this office are what protect its apolitical status. And so she, as a political appointee and somebody handpicked by Trump, going in there tells us something. It sends a warning shot, really, across the Department of Justice itself, that if you as a line prosecutor decide that the facts and the law are not supporting this prosecution, somebody could come in from, some person who is closer to President Trump and just bring those charges on their own. So I think that is a sign that this is a weak case, or at least that the line prosecutors decided it was a weak case.
The timing is also interesting. She's fresh on the job, and this was days before the statute of limitations ran out on the alleged crimes. Even if Comey is eventually cleared, though, what lasting impact might this have?
I think it has it will be hard to recover from this moment. I think that we have had, at time and again, at least since Watergate, every single attorney general and every single president has respected this line, this protected this line, the independence of federal prosecutors. And having breached that, I think it will take some time before we can go back.
Okay, we're going to watch this very closely. Rebecca, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Nice seeing you too.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more on all of this. Natalie, good morning. This is seemingly a win for President Trump, who just days ago publicly called out the DOJ to go after Comey. How is the administration reacting now that this is public?
Yeah, the president on social media is celebrating the indictment and also posting a couple of times now about the indictment. Just this morning, he put this on social media, on Truth Social, accusing Comey of lying, calling him, quote, a dirty cop. Yesterday, in another post, he wrote, in all caps, "Justice in America." Now, yesterday on camera, when he was speaking to reporters, he criticized Comey, but also kind of tried to distance himself from the decision that prosecutors were weighing at that point earlier in the day, saying it's up to them. But this all comes less than a week after that really striking social media post over the weekend, in which he publicly urged his attorney general to look into his political opponents, including Comey. Overt public pressure that legal experts say is really unprecedented. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi, for her part, in a social media post, wrote, "No one is above the law. Today's indictment reflects this Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. We will follow the facts in this case." But Democrats are calling this an attack on the rule of law. Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, in a social media post, said in part, "This kind of interference is a dangerous abuse of power. Our system depends on prosecutors making decisions based on evidence and the law, not on the personal grudges of a politician determined to settle scores." These Democratic Congress members also point out that, career prosecutors didn't want to bring this case forward. It was ultimately brought forward by a former personal attorney of President Trump. And Senator Warner also saying Trump is undermining one of the most important U.S. attorney's offices in the country, referencing the Eastern District of Virginia there, Errol.
Yeah, and we'll have much more on all of this in about 20 minutes. Natalie, thank you.